topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Los Angeles. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where for the last 16 years, we have brought you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Hey, this show is coming up now. I feel like I'm an expert. We've got 7 shows across the country, and I cannot believe how many people out there suffer from neuropathy and don't even know what it is. So we have got a great expert from the Wellness Center. Let me introduce you to Dr. Jason Kelverman. Good afternoon, Jason.
Hello there. Happy holidays to everyone.
Same to you. Same to you. It's good to see you. First of all, tell people about Wellness Center.
So, Westside Wellness Center was established as it is now in 2008, after I spent 15 years working with a whole team of multidisciplined doctors on Wilshire Boulevard here in Los Angeles. And one of the things that came up as I treated hundreds of athletes was foot problems. And as those athletes got to be a little bit older, we started to see peripheral neuropathy cases. We're talking 20 years ago now. And so it's been getting worse. More people are coming down with it for a variety of reasons, and we can talk about that. But I began seeing that some of the therapies 20 years ago were working, but not all. So I started my journey, if you will, into helping people, because I've spent most of my career helping chronic pain patients as a whole. So in the last 10 years, not only do we dive further into that by studying with all the docs here in America and some abroad, but I also created, patented, and designed a piece of equipment we call Foot Power that rehabilitates your foot. Now, ready for this? Here you go. Medicare just granted me approval as a billing code for people with foot problems, including peripheral neuropathy, for Foot Power. Now, what does that mean? Well,
no way.
Covered
I
by
know what that means
in this moment, because I can't even manufacture it right now. But it means next year you're going to see Foot Power as a mainstay in many podiatry offices around the country, and hopefully in all the centers that are treating peripheral neuropathy, because it was one of the missing links in foot rehabilitation, because we don't really take care of our feet very well. We've never learned how. We don't use them. They're stuck in shoes, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm pretty dang excited about that. And so what we're going to be doing, obviously, that's going to be a whole new venture for me. We're going to be starting a massive new company to facilitate that in America. And so I decided, since it's Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holiday you're celebrating, that I would do a crazy offer to all of your listeners. From now until January 1st, if you are suffering from peripheral neuropathy and you want to get some serious care and get back on your feet again and get rid of the pain, burning, cramping, I'm going to offer anybody who calls in a 50% offer, okay? Because next year, you're probably not going to see me in this capacity. I'm going to be in another zone. So you get me while you can is basically what I'm saying. I'm going to do this just to say thank you to everybody out there, okay? All right, let's dive into peripheral neuropathy. Take it away.
So the questions we've been getting for the last 2 days is people want to know what's your success rate, because their doctors have basically told them, and you know this, that they pretty much have
Just
to
learn
settle
how
like
to
this
live with it.
for the rest of their life.
Here's your gabapentin. Here's
Yes.
your Lyrica. Here's your antidepressant when that doesn't work. So I have to answer that question with, how serious was the case? How degenerated? How dead are the nerves to begin with? And we have scales, okay? In your language, mild, moderate, severe will suffice, okay? In mild cases, we have like a 96% success rate, okay, even with post-chemotherapy patients. In the moderate category, it drops a little bit. And in the severest categories, we're looking at a situation where everybody agrees that it's going to be a minimal improvement, okay? But if it's your feet and you want to go from a level 9 pain down to a level 3 so you can tolerate your life again, that's a miracle in and of itself. But those statistics drop, okay? And that's just how it goes. If the nerves are dead, we can't fix it. If they're near dead, we can get some response. If they're just mild to moderate, we get terrific response in those cases. So that's how I have to kind of answer that, because we don't know until you get checked, okay?
Right.
And
exactly.
properly checked with good neurological basis.
And tell people what neuropathy is, what they should be feeling, some of the signs that they might have neuropathy.
Neuropathy can be insidious. It can just start with a little numbness or a little tingling or a little intermittent pain, or a little burning, but it usually gets worse. So some people, if you hear somebody that says, "Oh my God, I woke up today and I'm in severe pain," that's not a good sign. You need to get to a neurologist today, because that's one of the worst types of neuropathy there is, okay? So those are very, very severe cases and need to have a whole team approach to deal with. But for everybody else who is slow onset, it can be nebulous and it can be intermittent, and it can be strange in that, we're at that time of the year. So, okay, I went to a Christmas party and I had a little alcohol and I had some cake, and gosh, 2 days later, my legs were on fire. Okay, that's a sign that either they are pre-diabetic or on the way to being fully diabetic. And here's a little tip. Everybody kind of goes in the thought process that if you're pre-diabetic, it's not a big deal. You're not diabetic yet. Well, guess what? 50% of the pre-diabetics get neuropathy. So what happens? I'll give you the diabetic example, because they're all different. So since diabetes is the number, and pre-diabetes, you have no idea how many tens of thousands of pre-diabetic patients I've seen over the last 10 years. Extra sugar in the blood doesn't belong there. So for those of you out there who know what a hemoglobin A1C medical test is, they basically look at your hemoglobin. The word hemoglobin, heme, stands for iron. And so this is the molecule that carries oxygen through our body, okay? And what happens is when you have higher sugar levels, it coats that molecule, and that molecule doesn't distribute the oxygen as well. This is why diabetics don't heal well. This is why they get ulcers. This is why their distal parts or their eyes or other parts start to suffer, because they're not getting enough oxygen. That's one type of neuropathy, very common, probably the number one that you'll see out there. Post-chemotherapy, also high on the list, also one of the best to recover, assuming you get them in time. Because we know what the cause of that is. A lot of times you have to dig to get to the cause, the root cause of these issues. If I get a young person with neuropathy, it's almost always either diabetes or a toxic syndrome. They've got heavy metal toxicity. They've got mold damage. Something has created a toxic element in their body, and their body could not deal with it, and it's showing up as nerve damage. B12 deficiency shows up that way too. If you have digestive problems and you're not absorbing your nutrients, heck, that can cause a deficiency and therefore cause nerve damage. Your body is always fixing itself. As you sleep, we do recovery work, we do replenishing, we do rebuilding. If you don't sleep well, that can lead to some issues later in life. So for those of you who went, hey, I don't sleep well, I suggest you call your doctor and start discussing that and see why. Well, gee, is it you're doing caffeine and sugar at night? Is it other reasons? You need to work through that process and fix it, because sleep is really damn important. The analogy I use every day in the office now is, you plug your cell phone in, don't you? You go, yeah, because it dies if not. Well, that's what sleep is to the human being. It's where we recharge. You don't sleep, you don't recharge very well. So those are the most common. Then there are people with autoimmune diseases that creates that. Fatty liver, very common, develops that as well. So most people think of diabetes as a pancreatic problem, and that's usually type 1 diabetes. They don't produce insulin. But the liver is a large player in diabetes and sugar management. So if you have any damage to the liver, and that's kind of what fatty liver is, fatty infiltration into the liver, your liver is not going to function very well, and it's going to, leave certain things unattended, if you will. Let me count the ways. Then there's chemical toxicity, drugs that cause neuropathy. I have a list of 68 drugs that cause neuropathy. You can go to our website at westsidewellnesscenter.com and download that list. I put the list together, but all the neurologists gave me that information, just so you know. Okay. And I'm sure there are others. I think the addressing of you'll just have to learn to live with it. Here's the medical dilemma as I see it. They don't have a pill that cures neuropathy. What they have are pills that can dull down the pain. For those of you out there who have predominantly numbness and tingling, there is no drug in the world that will help that. Don't even bother with gabapentin. It's going to make you foggy in the head and sleepy. It's only good for those people who have pain or maybe burning, all right, once in a while cramping. But the numb and tingling people, who are very, very common, none of the drugs work on that at all, right? You have to actually heal the nerve. So in terms of the actual symptoms themselves, what you're getting is this. Picture the nerve being damaged. So it's either losing oxygen or it's being chemically attacked. Think of it that way. Those are the two most common. And so it no longer transmits the signal that it's supposed to. And that signal that goes to the brain now says, I hurt, I'm burning, you have creatures crawling on your skin, I'm cramping, do something. And that goes on 24/7. So the nervous system gets overloaded. And that's where the symptoms come in. So it's damage to the nerve that creates these unusual and severe symptoms. That help out there?
Yes. We've got some questions.
Shoot.
In the chat line. If I'm having problems, should I contact you or a podiatrist?
Good question. I would say that 99% of the podiatrists don't treat peripheral neuropathy. I happen to know one in Costa Mesa who does. I think he's great. We started working together. In fact, we're probably going to be partners in the new foot power business. But you really need to go to somebody who does that specially, whether that's whether it's a podiatrist, most don't, whether it's a neurologist, some will, and some have some alternatives other than just drugs, but they're rare also. Some of the chiropractors like myself specialize in it because we're used to people in chronic pain, and we develop systems
Yes.
that really work. So the question is, who should you go to? The question is, do they specialize in? Okay, because that's what you want. You don't want to start with a beginner, if you will, or just drugs, unless you're in severe pain. If you're in level 9 out of 10 pain, you know what to do. Hey, go to any of your MDs and have them prescribe, a drug to help.
They need to go see you,
Okay,
Dr. Kelberman. They need
but if
to
you're
see
anywhere
you.
within the driving range of West Los Angeles, you should come here, because you're gonna be much happier with the outcome, short term,
Absolutely.
long term. Okay.
Let's go to the next question in the chat line. Do you like supplements for treatment?
Frequently, it is a necessary part of what we do. So whether it's the toxic or the diabetic, etc., we have to make sure that your body is able to heal those nerves. So you have to give it the ammunition and the nutrition that it requires. And if you do that, the results are better. So in many cases, that is a crucial component, and that needs to be done by somebody who has experience with that.
Next question on the chat line. Love your show. How do you treat neuropathy at home?
How do I treat myself at home, or how would I treat you at home? Okay.
No, I think you said your patients, you treat them, they can be treated from their home.
Right. So what I usually do is what I call a jump start. Everybody's different. I got people flying in from Florida and New York and all places. So we do a short jump start here in the office where we get to do the correct workup, and we also find out which of the many modalities works the best for them. Understand that with the $200,000 worth of equipment that we use on you, you can't take that home. But if you're interested, call. I'll facilitate that. But it's usually a milder and less expensive version of those that you can do at home. Everybody gets my foot power at home. Why? Because we're not just strengthening feet, we're using muscles that pump blood. Blood equals oxygen equals rejuvenation. Okay, get it? So we do my foot power, and we do some kind of a home therapy module, whether it's a type of laser or pulse magnetic frequency or electrotherapy, etc., and then the correct nutrients that individual needs.
Can you talk about diet?
Sure. Start by giving up sugar. Okay.
Okay.
I don't care what nutritionist you go to. If you ask what is the single most inflammatory food that people eat that they don't need, it's sugar. Now, it's Christmas, it's Hanukkah, it's the holidays. So people are going to do more than usual. But basically what I tell all my patients, even the diabetics, is I look them straight in the eye and I go like this. I go, nobody's perfect. We know you're going to have some sugar. Okay. But if you eat really well 6 days out of the week and you have that special occasion on the 7th, so what? Your body will adapt. It will overcome. But if you do that every day, that's where you get into trouble. And a lot of nutritionists talk about rotation diets. When it comes to sugar, you need to be pretty just say no with days that you just fall apart and start eating what you shouldn't.
So, Dr. Kelberman, you got to talk about your foot power rehab system.
So, imagine you're in practice and you're getting pretty good results. But here's what you need to know about me. I'm a chiropractic kinesiologist, which means I work with every muscle of the body. And in the feet, people don't treat their feet. They don't exercise their feet. Everybody thinks walking is strengthening their feet. Guess what? For the most part, it isn't. It's good for your aerobic capacity and your legs. But our feet were meant to do this. We were meant to be able to be flexible with our feet on sand, on soft ground, in warm country, and instead we got locked into a shoe because it's cold and it's concrete, and it goes just in the opposite direction when you walk. So all the intrinsic muscles of the feet get weak over time, all of them. I would say there's maybe 5 to 10% of the population that has strong feet, and those are people who work at it or who are gifted and have good genes. So that's an essential part of my program, and I hope that it will be an essential part of everyone's program in the next couple of years, because it really helps dramatically.
Aren't you going to be sending this, or hopefully getting it into other chiropractors' offices around the country?
I have, and I've trained other docs around the country. At the moment, I'm going to put all of my eggs in podiatry because, it's kind of feet are us with them. And I think that's a good place for it. They're actually excited because they too have seen that there's not a lot of rehab for feet. I mean, even with the physical therapist, there's not a lot of good rehab. And so they're thrilled to have something that they can offer their people, their patients, and do it at home. So like many exercises, if you don't do it frequently, you don't get the full effect. So the ability to do it at home really makes a huge difference. And so that's kind of where I'm going for next year, having already helped quite a number of chiropractors across the country.
I got to tell you, it's most of your practice is neuropathy. You really concentrate in that area. And I just want people to know that you've got someone who really specializes in that area. Believe it or not, most doctors, I have learned, do not understand neuropathy. And here's a chance for you to lead a better life. I want to get this last question in.
Sure.
If I have restless legs at night, does that mean I am a candidate for neuropathy?
Not necessarily. They don't often go together. Restless, usually it's one leg. Yeah. Some people have both legs that are restless. They're usually, if I had to say that minerals and medications help restless leg quite a bit. A lot of women have iron deficiencies, which lead to restless leg. There's it's different. Restless leg does not denote nerve damage. And once again, you can have both. People accumulate all kinds of stuff on top of each other. You can have a herniated disc with sciatica and peripheral neuropathy and plantar fasciitis and diabetes. I mean, I've seen some cases that'll just blow your mind, medically speaking, but you just do the basics and slowly they get better. If they're willing to do the work, I'm gonna finish with that note, because it's not all about what I do. It's about what we teach you, what you do at home, how you eat, etc. It's the whole package. We humans, we're not just mechanical, and we're not just metabolic. We have this integrated being. It's why we are how great we are. Okay, so physical, chemical, and emotional, if you will, for those out there who fall into that category. All of those things play a role with our being.
Name of the clinic is Wellness Center, Dr. Jason Kelberman. Besides, we're running it on YouTube. But for those who are listening on radio right now, Dr. Kelberman, how do they reach your office?
The front desk is 310-268-8008. Website, westsidewellnesscenter.com. There's all kinds of phone numbers on there that you can reach us. Email personally if you want to throw some ideas past me or want to ask me a question before you come in. It's DR for Dr. Kelberman at wwc.care. That's westsidewellnesscenter.care.
And don't forget the 50% off.
Till January 1, baby. I would jump in. It'll you want to change your life? Grab a hold of this and come on in. Yeah, because it's not going to be here next year.
Dr. Kelberman, have a wonderful holiday, a happy new year. We'll see Dr. Kelberman back with us actually in about 2 weeks. We'll see you then.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Dr.
Everybody
Kelly.
have a happy holiday. Enjoy.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.